Welcome to the Father Focus podcast.
Father Focus. Check.
Why are we talking about this? Why does it matter?
So shaping your kids into powerful people.
Bro, let that brother fly. Check. All right, let's
You
go.
ready?
All right, let's go. I was messing.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in again to Father Focus. We are so excited to be able to have each and every one of you. And again, I am joined today by my esteemed colleagues, Nathan and Jermaine. We are excited to have you. Hey, thanks for being with us. Nathan, how were those chips?
Wow, calling me out like that in the podcast.
I'm saying,
what are you chewing on?
They were not chips. All right, they are pistachios.
Oh my
Nuts.
gosh, they sounded like chips.
I'm on this
Wow.
like really strict diet right now, so I can pretty much eat nothing. It's great. I love it.
Well,
so this is
you're
my joy
healthier,
in
though.
life.
I hope your microphone is not
cares?
getting little nasty little.
Oh, it's all right. I'll eat them
Swap.
later. Yeah, I'm saving it for later.
You go eat
That-
the shards off
So
your mic.
Disgusting.
Got some problems. You start licking that microphone.
All
We're
right,
gonna stop
we gotta
everything.
stop.
That's how
Oh my
hungry
gosh.
I am right now.
All right. Oh my gosh. Jermaine, what about you, man? You're over there. What are you drinking? A protein
I'm
shake?
drinking a little healthy drink.
He can't
He
just
actually looked in there. He didn't know what
can't
it was.
disclose what's in that cup.
Little probio. Got a little something. No, just some little. You know,
Hey,
me
this will
keeping
be
it
a fun
healthy.
podcast.
So keeping it healthy.
Well, listen, let's jump right into this. Again, what we're talking about today is we're going to be wrapping up this first season of Father Focus, and it's been an absolute thrill. We've been so excited. All of us have been just, thrilled to be able to do this. And thank you all so much for listening. And I would encourage you, if you've, enjoyed this podcast, two things that we're asking you to consider to subscribe to what we're doing here, and also share it. We want to be able to reach people with this message, with what we're trying to do. And we would love for you to be able to share that with them on all kinds of platforms. You can share it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, as well as you can subscribe. We're going to be found on all platforms where your podcast can
Absolutely.
be held. So
Yes.
it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Listen, wait. So I have a hilarious story, and it's actually a kind of a brutal story, but it's hilarious. So my number
We'll be the
4,
judge of that.
Yeah. My number 4 is literally like the child who doesn't do anything wrong. Her name's Vivian. She's literally Grace to us. Her middle name's Grace, and it's
Wait, can I
amazing.
pause? Can I pause your story real quick? It's too late
Okay.
because I did it anyway.
All right.
I was just with Jeremy and Taylor down in Louisiana a few weeks ago, and it is so obvious to me and my wife that they favor Vivian. They like her way more than all their other kids combined. Like, it's insane. I'm just like, it's like Joseph in the coat of many colors over here.
You
Like,
serious?
literally, you probably have a
All
coat
right.
for her, and all the other kids are literally like walking around their underwear. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
So
wild.
She had a dream,
that is
didn't she?
that is not absolutely true, especially if my kids are listening to this. I love all of them
Equally.
uniquely. Yeah, well, uniquely, I would say it like that. I love them all uniquely because they all have different gifts. Yeah, I would say, as best I can. Anyway, the funny thing is she never complains. She doesn't cry. And Sunday, they were playing, and Caroline, who's number 3, and Vivian are running around. They bump heads. So Vivian bumps her head, and her head smashes I know this is really not that funny, but it's like if you would
Dramatic.
have been there. Yeah, it is dramatic. She hits her head on the coffee table,
Oh,
busts her eye. Well, I don't know what's happening. She's just crying. And I'm like, hey, get over it. Like, it's all right. Like, why are you crying? Just trying to be like a little tender, but I don't know. And she's talking, but I don't know what she's saying.
It's just
and
your eye. It's not that big. of a deal.
Caroline, well, I didn't even know. She was saying her head. She called it her head. And I'm like, you're good.
were you in a
Well, then
different
she
room?
leaves. Yeah, I was in a different room. So I come in there like, what's going on? Well, a little while later, I started noticing her eyes swole up, but I'm like, what is that on her eye? I had no idea. I was that oblivious. And I'm like, what is going on? I thought they were rubbing makeup on her eye. I mean, it was happening quick. and her eyes swells up, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, Vivian, what are you doing? What is happening? And she's like, Daddy, it hurt. Caroline again runs into her, the exact same thing, hits the exact same eye in the same place, busts it up, and it's like very, very bad. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am literally the worst person in the world because I was allowing number 3 to assault number 4. And it was, and now her eye was like so swollen shut. She's, if you're on YouTube watching, her eyes all fat, swollen. One of my friends thought she had makeup on because it was like a full black eye.
Father Focus podcast. Welcome to
Jerry, I was gonna say, there's this podcast called the Father Focus. I think you should
check it out. You should subscribe to it
as a father.
That's right. You should like it and listen to the content.
I already have. I'm not only a member, I'm a client. All right. Okay. So hey, but seriously, it was one that got away from me, and it was crazy to watch. Anyway, so on today's podcast, what we're going to be discussing, we're going to be wrapping it up. Really want to just encourage all of you, and the way we're going to do that is we're just going to talk about some of the big takeaways from this season, some of the things that we've discussed. And so, Nathan, Jermaine, what are some of the big things that you have taken away that have really inspired you as individuals, as dads, and what has been happening in your lives and your families?
Yeah.
Well, listen, since both of y'all are talking at the same time.
Wow.
None of us are talking. What?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
All right, Nathan.
Technical glitches. All right.
I'll
go.
I was being sarcastic, and y'all both were just not saying anything.
We're just so polite, we're just really polite people.
Always
defer the other person. No, I think it was episode 2 or 3 that we talked about intentionality when it comes to, the value and vision you have for your kids. And I just keep coming back to this thing, because I just spend so much time talking parents off the ledge who their kids are going off the rails. They're doing things that the parents never expect them to do. They can't believe it's happening. And I'll just ask them over and over again, like, well, what's your vision for your kids? Like, what's your goal for them? Where are you taking them? And they'll look at me like, deer in headlights, like, I don't know the answer to this question. And, no judgment. I get it. Everyone's got to figure this stuff on their own. But at the same time, if I were to ask them, hey, what's your vision or your expectations for your kids' grades? They'll have an answer for me. Well, I want them to have a 4.0 or want them 3.5 GPA. Well, what do you want for their future after high school? Well, I want them to get a full ride scholarship to this college, and hopefully they'll study this thing because they like that, or they're going to get a sports scholarship. There's things in life where there is vision and there is intentionality, but I feel like a lot of times when it comes to your kids' internal development, spiritually and emotionally, it feels like a lot of times that parents don't think through those things at the same level. And I would say, man, if there's something you grasp from this last season, you need to get a vision from God. And if you're not a Christian, you and your wife or you and your husband need to sit down and think, who do I want my kid to be in 20 years? And then you work backwards and you build out a plan to develop in them ultimately who you want them to be. We do this with investment portfolios. We do this with our career. We do this in so many ways. We need to take these same set of principles and use them to build kids of significance, kids of substance, kids who know they are. This is pretty typical in like pretty wealthy communities, but I think we need to see this applied across the board. You don't have to have tons of money or education. You just need to have a plan and you need to work it. And so I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways that I'd love to hear is, hey, me and my wife sat down, or as a dad, I went away for a weekend and I pulled out my journal or pulled out my laptop, and for each of my kids, I sat and thought about who they are uniquely and who I want them to be. And I came with a plan how to develop that in them. That would be a massive win for families and kids if dads and moms could do that.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, especially in the B category. And it's like, and I'll just say, like, Nathan is not saying, oh, who do I want them to be? I want them to be a doctor. I want them to be a lawyer. It's more or less characteristically. Like, we don't want them to be angry children. And if they are angry children, all right, part of the vision is like, you want them to have some kind of harmony in their lives. And it's like, okay, so how do I help lead them out of the struggles that they have? Because all of our kids are going to have struggles. They all have them currently. There's going to be different ones in different age brackets. But it's like, who do we want them to be in as a man, as a woman? And we're trained. We are raising future men, future women, future husbands, future moms. And it's quite the task. And if we don't have the right vision, as Nathan's saying, we're going to end up nowhere with them. So,
well, if I could add one more thing, I think you just kind of inspired me with a thought. We have primarily as a Western culture defined identity through vocation. I am what I do. And okay, what if your kid is the most successful surgeon in the world, but they're a horrible person, a terrible husband, an absent father? Like, is that a win for your family? And so I think we have to think about the whole person when we think about, well, what do we want our kids to be? Because typically we think about, okay, how are they going to make money? How do we get them out of our basement? How do we get them to stop playing video games and take care of themselves? Those things are valuable. But at the core level, identity, everything we do flows from who we are, who we believe ourselves to be. And if you can get your kids to really understand who they were uniquely created to be, all their gifts, all their strengths, and also how to overcome those weaknesses, no matter what they do, they're going to make an impact in society that's so much bigger than what they do from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, that's good. It reminds me, what Jesus said in Matthew and Mark 8. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole earth but loses his soul? So it's like, who cares if they are the most successful at whatever they do, and they literally lose everything? Like thinking like some of these like professional boxers, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, they've acquired this massive amount of wealth through their careers and lost all their money. And that's a tragedy. So vision for your kids, who they're going to be, and what you're going to call what they're going to do. So, Jermaine, what about you, man?
Yeah, I would just say, I would just call it progression versus perfection, right? So, wherever you are as a parent in your child rearing, raising your children, it's easy to kind of look at yourself and be like, man, I'm just not good enough, right? We talked about that in one of the episodes. I'm not good enough. I'm ill-equipped. I'm unqualified, right? And when we say progression versus perfection, what I mean is that God's not looking for perfection. He's the only perfect one, right? But he's looking for fruit. He's looking for progression. And what I mean by that is, if you ever watch a great athlete, great athletes, men and women, do the little things well. Right. It's the passing, it's shooting free throws, it's layups, right? They're not always the most right. The fundamentals, the basics matter, and they do those exceptionally well. I remember Michael Jordan making those free throws in the game when he closes his eyes and he shoots the free throws and hits them. Right. He shot so many free throws that he could do it with his eyes closed, literally.
But seriously, LeBron's better though, right?
Wow. This will be Jeremy's last episode.
Yeah, that's right. Fired. Mike, if you're listening,
you're fired.
No, so I think, again, for the parent out there, that like we all fall short, right? But the progression is doing those things well. I was mentioning great quarterbacks. I just watched them over the years and how swimmers, gymnasts, how even in practice they do the things well. They follow through. They finish. They throw the ball to the first or second read, and they're looking at the third and fourth read. And I've watched Drew Brees in practice make the pass and warm ups, and then pretend like he's throwing it to 2 or 3 other people, or a Tom Brady, or different quarterbacks have done that. And I just was like, man, what are they doing? But I watched that they are going through those motions on purpose, because when the game is on the line, they're training themselves to look to the second, third, and fourth receivers. Larry Fitzgerald, right? It was said that he runs through his routes in the hotel room, right? And so what you're doing when no one's watching matters, right? The little things you're doing, they matter. You may not see immediate fruit in the repetition. You may not see immediate results, but we want you to be encouraged to know that progression over perfection, just stay the course, stay making the reads, stay adjusting, stay being intentional, right? We want to encourage you, progression, not perfection. So just remember, progress over perfection.
progress over perfection. And honestly, the reality is if we have a mentality for perfection, we're going to be very harsh on our kids, and they're never going to be able to win, because you know what, we're not perfect either.
Right.
And so just little incremental adjustments, moving towards getting better. Yeah, that's good.
Steps,
I think for
right?
me, honestly, this is an kind of an area where I didn't necessarily practice this. And honestly, Nathan talked about it. Jermaine spoke about it on the last episode. And it was about, I have 5 kids. And so it really is hard getting them alone and being in, one-on-one interaction with them. It is incredible, because no matter what, if I got one, there's 2 more like right on my heels.
Pulling on you.
It's just hard. So I'm hearing, these 2 guys, Jermaine and Nathan, both telling me and telling us about how they're withdrawing with one of their individual children and engaging them in a unique way, one-on-one. And I honestly was like, oh my gosh, I don't do that. Like, I need to start. So literally, we've been taking them out on dates. Literally, I'll take them just to the park, because it's like, inflation, everything's getting expensive. I'm not taking, 5 kids out to dinner. So just a lot of money.
Right.
So, and honestly, I'm at the season where a walk around the neighborhood is a phenomenal thing, where we can just walk and talk. And literally, I've done things that little, take them to the park, and ice cream, something small. And so for me, that's been a big change and a big blessing, because I'm able to talk one-on-one. And sometimes, I don't always, but sometimes I have to use it as a correctional moment too. But I'm able to isolate them. But I try to do my best to make it very positive, what's going on in their world, but them do a lot of the talking. And so that's just something that I, thank you guys for highlighting, because I'm like, man, I definitely have jumped on that bandwagon of isolating them one at a time, whether it's, just once a week, where I'll just take one, or maybe I'll do 2, so we'll do things like that. So, yeah. So, what about you, Nathan? You got another highlight?
Yeah, I think there's a million reasons not to do this, what we're doing. And I feel like there's so many excuses. We're tired, we're busy. We have so many demands on us. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to do it. And my charge would be this: stop looking for excuses and find solutions. I know that's kind of direct and harsh, but I think as men, we can handle that. And we need to find the reason that's bigger than all the excuses. And I think that reason is your kid. And what they need, because they aren't at the age in their life where they can communicate that. But there will be a day when they're adult and they'll say, hey, I needed this from you and you didn't give it to me, or I wished for this, or I longed for that. And I think as parents, for the most part, we kind of get emotionally what we need as adults. And we also look back and think about what we didn't get as kids and how that's crippled us in some ways. And so I would say, as parents, man, like, find a way to make it happen. I mean, you chose to have those kids. Now raise them right and make it a priority in your life. Right. And I think it goes back to, what do you value most? Like, the thing that matters most is, for me, my set of priorities as a Christian is, I'm going to value my relationship with God, then my spouse, and then my kids are third. My career doesn't come first. My hobbies don't come before that. Like, my kids are a priority. And if something's going to sacrifice, it's not going to be them. And so I think it's just find a way to make it happen. Strap up your boots, put put your pants on, be a man, and take care of your family, take care of your kids. And yeah, you might not have played as many rounds of golf, or you might not have went on as many fishing trips, but I guarantee your kids, you'll reap the rewards of that relationship for the rest of your life. Versus, I've seen a lot of guys spend a lot of time doing a lot of other things and being with their families, and now they're old. Their kids want nothing to do with them. They don't have a relationship with their family. Their kids are hurt and broken, and the last person they want to talk to is dad. It's never there for them. And I don't want that for my kids. So I need to find that reason is louder and more powerful than any excuse I could give myself in the moment. So find a reason, not an excuse, to do it.
Yeah.
Man. Wow.
So good. And I think about legacy, right? We're not just, this is all about legacy. We think about inheritances when it comes to, we mentioned it earlier, like our Roth IRA, our 401k, our assets, right? We look at our net worth, but what is your family's net worth, right? Think about that. What type of net worth am I creating for the kingdom of God in the hearts of my children, right? And so I would say and encourage those who are listening is that, again, that you're leaving an inheritance, right? You're building a legacy. You want that to outlive you. My desire is that the goodness of God and the kingdom of God, and that my life it outlives me. And so again, that takes you really being intentional and really thinking about legacy, right? When I'm gone, what would be left behind? That's what Jesus did. He left 12, right? He didn't just, and then when he ascended, he said, I didn't just leave you fatherless or comfortless. I didn't leave you as orphans. I'm sending you the Holy Spirit. It's good that I go. Can we say as parents that, hey, it's good that we go, right? Can we say that with confidence and with courage that our children, as they age, as they get older, that, hey, it's good for you to be without me. That's how I want to, live my life. And I want to encourage those listening, like, live your life in a way that it's live for legacy.
Yeah.
It's not live for the moment. It's live for legacy.
Wow.
That's good.
I mean, that is, that's really, really, really awesome. And I think a legacy, obviously, we can look at other individuals around us. And I'm not even talking about, quote, superstars. I'm talking about people in our communities. And I'm sure each and every one of our listeners out there, if I say, hey, think of a good dad, you could probably think of some. And if you can't, guess what? You go and be that dad. But if you can think of a couple of good dads, and it's like, man, these guys are leaving a legacy to their children and their children's children. And they're going to be blessed. They're going to have an amazing future. They're going to be productive members of society. And like Proverbs talks about, like, your children will rise up and call you blessed because of that focus, And so, I want to ask you all a quick question. It's a little bit of a tangent. And as we're kind of wrapping up this season, I want to ask you a question of, maybe 10, 20 seconds on what does it mean to you to be a focused father? What does it mean to be a focused father? And I guess I'll go first since I asked the question. And as I'm kind of talking, you can kind of think about what you want to say. But as a focused father to me, is it somebody who is just very intentional in their focused? I mean, just think of the word focused. You're focused on being a father to your children. If you have all boys, if you have girls, if you have boys, girls, if you have a blended family, you're stepping into the role of being a shepherd, a leader in your home, and you're being hyper intentional about those who are beneath you because you're a leader. You're focused on that task. So just in your own words, just kind of curious what y'all would say about that.
Yeah, if I can speak to that. Yeah, I would just say there's a guy's name's Myron Golden. He's a believer, Christian leader, business. Like, he's got his doctorate, sharp guy, and he has a heart for the kingdom and for finance and for his kingdom as a whole. I encourage you guys to check him out. But he says something that, I've said before, like being versus doing, but he goes more in depth. And he says that oftentimes we tell people what to do without giving them the tools to become the person they need to be to do the thing. So what they're doing is short-lived because they haven't had the characteristics and the discipline that it requires to be that person and to stay there and maintain that. And for me, intentional fathering, with that being said, I would say it's becoming, I'm committed to growing. I'm committed to dying, laying down myself. I'm committed to becoming more so that I can finish well, right? I haven't arrived, right? It's realizing that there's no finish line. It's just you're growing, you're on this journey, and I'm committed myself to becoming more. So that's through, Jeremy said earlier, reading and scripture and prayer and accountability with my brothers, discipleship, whatever it looks like. I'm committed to becoming that person that my children need me to be. And that changes as they change. So that's what I would say, is just that the becoming the person so that you can do the thing. And it's a lifelong thing. It's becoming a student. Being a student.
That's good. Well, since Jeremy took my 20 seconds, his 20 seconds, everybody's 20 seconds. I guess I don't have any time left.
Go for it.
All right.
But
So
I'll make
we'll
it.
just
I'll
go
make
on
it
and close.
super short. All right. John Maxwell has a quote. He says, "A leader is the one that knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." And so I think as dads, if we can do those three things well, we'll kill the game.
Excellent, Nathan. Thank you for keeping it brief.
You can always count on me for that.
Now listen, as we're kind of wrapping up this season, I would just like to ask, all of our listeners, really two things. Number one, if you have a story, because listen, we're not know-it-alls. Like, just because we're doing this, obviously we are confessing our humility in a lot of senses. Like, we don't know, and we're coming to the table and we're wanting to be men who are focused at being fathers. We're literally having that mentality. And so we want to hear from you. So you could DM us. You can let us know about, maybe experiences you've had, tips you have on raising your kids. If you've done something, you hit a gold mine and some certain angle with your kids, we would love to know about it, talk about it, and if you have questions or topics that you would like to hear from us, we would absolutely love to know and just be able to interact with you in that way. So you could just send us a link, send us a message through a DM. We would love to be able to hit that. And as always, we ask you to like and to subscribe and to share. Would you please just share and help us to just get this podcast out and to be able to reach fathers, because that's our goal. We know that we live in a world where fatherhood is been tried and it's been judged and it's been found wanting, and it's hurting. And so our ambition in this is not to get our names out there, but to get a message out there. We want dads to rise up, and we want them to be good at being a dad. We want them to be focused on fatherhood, and we really hope that this will do that. And so if you would share that, that would be amazing. And we absolutely look forward to hearing, just interacting again in the future. Would love to be able to connect with you again in the coming weeks and the coming seasons. And until then, be blessed, stay focused, be intentional, have a vision, be intentional. Already said that one. And go out, change your kids' lives.
Yee! See you guys in season 2.
See y'all later.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us.